Azure Backup is a cloud-based data protection solution that helps organizations preserve and restore critical workloads. Within the broader context of Azure Monitor and Resource Management, Azure Backup plays a crucial role in ensuring data resilience and business continuity. It allows administrators to back up virtual machines, file shares, SQL databases, and even on-premises workloads directly to an Azure-based repository. By automatically storing copies in a secure and geographically available environment, it mitigates the risk of data loss while providing flexible restoration options. In previous lessons, we covered how to leverage Azure Monitor for metrics and logs, and we explored insights for essential resources such as virtual machines, storage, and networks. Building on that knowledge, this segment focuses on creating a dedicated Azure Backup Vault. This vault offers a centralized location to store and manage backups at scale. Throughout these slides, we will examine the features, configurations, and best practices that govern Azure Backup to ensure reliability and compliance. Azure Backup Vaults work in tandem with Recovery Services Vaults to provide comprehensive data protection. Previously, we explored Recovery Services Vaults, which can store various backup data, including Azure virtual machines and site recovery configurations. An Azure Backup Vault offers a more targeted approach by focusing primarily on backup functionalities, although both vault types share similar security and encryption protocols. Aligning with the broader goals of Azure Monitor, these vaults deliver granular visibility into backup statuses, data retention, and restoration points. Administrators can set up alerts and trigger automated remediation when backup jobs fail or deviate from established policies. This synergy ensures continuous oversight, allowing for prompt corrective actions. Understanding how both vaults fit into the bigger picture of Azure disaster recovery strategies helps elevate overall resource availability. In upcoming slides, we examine the key aspects that differentiate Azure Backup Vaults, their core functionality, and the steps needed to implement them effectively. Azure Backup revolves around a few fundamental concepts that streamline data protection in both cloud and hybrid environments. Recovery points. These are snapshots generated during the backup process. They enable multiple restoration options, from point-in-time recoveries to entire system restorations. Backup policies. Administrators can configure schedules and retention periods, ensuring data is backed up at the right frequency and stored for the appropriate duration. Storage redundancy. Azure Backup Vaults support locally redundant storage, LRS, or geo-redundant storage, GRS. LRS keeps multiple copies within a single region, while GRS replicates data across geographically distant regions. To application-aware backups. Azure Backup can capture consistent snapshots of applications like Microsoft SQL Server, ensuring that data integrity remains intact during the backup. By grasping these concepts, administrators can customize backup approaches to meet specific requirements. In the upcoming slides, we address particular planning and deployment strategies to maximize these capabilities. Although both Azure Backup Vaults and Azure Recovery Services Vaults store backup data, there are distinct differences in scope and capabilities. Recovery Services Vault. This vault type supports services like Azure Site Recovery for disaster recovery purposes, in addition to storing VM backups and various workloads. Azure Backup Vault primarily focuses on storing backup data for specific scenarios, often associated with simpler deployment patterns. It may have certain specialized options or constraints relative to a Recovery Services Vault. Administrators should consider the workloads to be protected, compliance objectives, and long-term retention needs when selecting a vault type. Because Recovery Services Vaults can centrally manage broader disaster recovery scenarios, they might be preferable for complex setups. However, Azure Backup Vaults deliver a streamlined experience for straightforward backup tasks. Recognizing these subtleties can inform better architectural decisions and ensure that the chosen vault aligns with organizational objectives. Before creating an Azure Backup Vault, plan your approach to align infrastructure, schedules, and retention policies. Key considerations include aspect recommended practice. Workload type determine whether backups involve VAMs, data files, or on-prem resources. Storage redundancy: choose between locally redundant storage, LRS, or geo-redundant storage, GRS, weighing cost versus reliability. Retention strategy: define short-term and long-term retention windows based on regulatory or business needs. Network bandwidth: assess capacity for backup traffic, especially if protecting on-premises workloads. Security constraints: verify encryption, role-based access control, RBAC, and identity management. Align these elements with previously established Azure Monitor alerts so that any backup anomalies are flagged. This way, resource administrators can address issues proactively and maintain a robust data protection posture. To create an Azure Backup Vault through the Azure portal, navigate to the subscription and resource group that will host your backup infrastructure. Then, 1. From the Azure portal home screen, select Create a Resource. 2. Search for Backup Vault in the marketplace and choose the appropriate resource. 3. Provide a name and select the region. Ensure you pick the region that best suits latency and compliance requirements. 4. Choose the storage redundancy option, either LRS or GRS, based on your planning. 5. Specify the resource group you wish to use or create a new one. 6. Click Review plus Create, then finalize creation. This process integrates seamlessly with other Azure Monitor features, allowing you to enable alerts and automation throughout the backup lifecycle. Once created, you can configure backup targets and policies within the same portal experience. Automation is often preferred for consistent deployments across multiple environments. Azure CLI and PowerShell both enable scripted creation of a backup vault. A simplified Azure CLI workflow might look like this. Shell hashtag login AZ login hashtag set subscription AZ account set. Subscription ID hashtag create resource group. If needed, AZ group create. Name my resource group. Location east is hashtag create backup vault AZ backup vault create backslash. Resource group my resource group backslash. Name my backup vault backslash. Location east is for PowerShell. The new AZ Backup Vault Command provides analogous functionality. Scripted methods allow version control over infrastructure definitions and reduce manual interventions. You can integrate these commands into CI/CD pipelines to ensure consistent provisioning in test, staging, and production environments. By automating deployment, teams can maintain standardized naming conventions, regions, and configurations while minimizing the risk of human error. Once you have created a backup vault, the next step is to configure backup policies that define schedule and retention details. In the Azure portal, select your newly created backup vault and navigate to Backup Policies. Create a policy by specifying backup frequency. Decide if backups occur daily or weekly. For partial backups, consider differential or incremental strategies. Retention range. Configure how long to keep or store points. You can have short-term, days, or long-term, years, mechanisms. Application consistency. Choose application-aware backups if you are protecting workloads such as SQL databases. Encryption. Ensure data is encrypted both in transit and at rest. After creating the policy, apply it to your protected items, such as virtual machines or file shares. The policy-driven approach ensures a consistent method for all resources, making it easier to manage large deployments and stay aligned with compliance requirements. Azure Backup Vaults also cater to hybrid scenarios, where on-premises data is protected using Azure as an off-site repository. Organizations can deploy the Microsoft Azure Backup Agent or the Azure Backup Server to capture data from physical machines or on-premises workloads like SQL Server, Hyper-V, and VMware. This hybrid alignment provides off-site resilience. Storing backups in Azure ensures disaster recovery capability even if the primary location is compromised. Scalable growth. As on-premises data grows, the cloud-based approach allows virtually unlimited backup storage without heavy capital investment. Centralized management. All backups, whether cloud-native or hybrid, can be managed from the Azure portal, applying consistent policies and security. In addition, The integration with Azure Monitor alerts administrators of potential issues and helps isolate failing backup jobs. This unified perspective simplifies oversight, allowing teams to maintain robust data protection across multiple environments. Protecting backup data is a priority for any organization. Azure Backup Vaults implement multiple layers of security. Encryption at rest. By default, Azure stores backup data using AES 256-bit encryption to safeguard information and storage. Encryption in transit. During backup or restore operations, data travels over secure channels to prevent interception. Soft delete. This feature enables recovery of inadvertently or maliciously deleted backups for a configurable retention period. RBAC controls. Azure Role-Based Access Control ensures that only authorized users can manage backups, restricting the ability to perform sensitive operations. Organizations can also configure their own keys using Azure Key Vault for additional security oversight. This approach accommodates regulatory requirements that mandate customer-managed encryption keys. By focusing on layered security measures, Azure Backup ensures data remains protected, whether it resides permanently in the vault or moves between production and backup environments. As part of the broader Monitor and Maintain Azure Resources initiative, Azure Backup integrates tightly with Azure Monitor. You can enable monitoring for backup health, identify job successes, failures, and warnings through real-time dashboards. Usage analytics track the amount of data stored, which helps optimize costs by revealing usage patterns. Alerts and notifications. Configure email or SMS notifications when backup jobs fail, complete partially, or exceed time limits. You can also integrate alerts with Azure Action Groups for advanced remediation workflows. These features reduce overhead by consolidating backup insights into the same platform administrators use for VMs, storage accounts, and network monitoring. By leveraging diagnostics and logs, you can carry out deep investigations into anomalies and automate corrective measures. This holistic monitoring capability ensures that you maintain optimal data protection at all times. Although Azure Backup is designed for reliability, administrators may encounter issues such as storage misconfigurations. Selecting the wrong redundancy level or region can lead to increased costs or latency. Network bottlenecks. Saturated connections can slow backup traffic, causing lengthy backup times or missed schedules. Permissions or RBAC errors. Incorrect role assignments might block essential operations, leading to failed backups. Policy conflicts. Overlapping backup policies on a single resource can create inconsistent retention points. Address these challenges by reviewing Azure Monitor alerts and logs to isolate the root cause. For instance, if a particular backup job consistently fails, logs can reveal whether insufficient network bandwidth or misconfigured credentials are to blame. By proactively addressing these issues, you can improve backup reliability and maintain compliance with legal or business requirements that demand continuous data protection. An Azure Backup Vault can integrate with numerous Azure services to simplify administration and unify data management. For example, Azure Policies enforce compliance by automatically ensuring that newly created resources within a subscription also have backup policies enabled. Azure Automation. Use runbooks to perform automated backup verification tests or to orchestrate multi-step recovery processes. Azure Lighthouse. Delegate management of backup vaults to external service providers while preserving control over your subscription. These integrations reduce complexity by aligning backup processes with broader resource governance and deployment pipelines. As organizations evolve their workloads or adopt new architectures, the Vault's extensible nature supports adaptation. With integrated logging, alerting, and policy enforcement, administrators can embed best practices for data protection into every stage of the resource lifecycle, fulfilling the consistent and scalable approach demanded by modern cloud environments.